Somewhere around 40, your body sends you a bill for everything you've done to it. If you work for a living with your hands, framer, welder, warehouse picker, nurse on her feet for 12 hours, driver who's been sitting on the same disc since 2009, you felt the first payment come due. And here's the part that gets you. The work didn't get harder. The bundle didn't get heavier. You did the same lift you've done 10,000 times, the same way you've always done it. This time it talked back. The next morning and the morning after that. Nobody warns you about it. There's no meeting. The old timers just quietly start moving differently. Every crew has that one veteran who lowers himself onto a knee like he's defusing a bomb, then reaches for the truck bed to haul himself back up. You laugh at it for 15 years, right up until the morning it's you. So let's do this straight. What actually happens to a working body around 40, what the research says versus what gets repeated on the job site, and what you can actually do about it, because that's the part everybody skips. Short version, some of it is real and it's already started. Some of what you've been told is wrong, and almost none of it is a dead end, but only if you stop pretending it isn't happening. I'm not a doctor, not a physical therapist, not a licensed anything. This is information in one working man's read on the research, not medical advice. Your body, your aches, your history, that's a conversation for an actual professional. Don't diagnose yourself off a video, including this one. Let's start with recovery, because this is the one everybody talks about and almost everybody gets wrong. You know the story. In your 20s, you bounce back in a day. By your 40s, it's 3 days for the same beating. Everybody on the crew says it. I've said it. Here's the problem. When researchers actually measured it, that's not what they found. A 2025 review pooled 36 separate studies comparing muscle damage in younger adults against people 35 and up. Older workers didn't lose more muscle function after hard effort. And the soreness, the thing we all swear by, was consistently lower in the older group, roughly a third less at the 48-hour mark. Blood markers of actual muscle damage came back lower too. So, does that mean it's in your head? No. It means you're reading the wrong gauge. Soreness isn't damage. Soreness is a signal, and the signal gets quieter with age, even when the problem doesn't. What the research does consistently show is that the repair machinery slows down. Aging muscle shows what one review calls delayed, prolonged, and inefficient recovery. Your body gets worse at responding to protein. There's a name for it, anabolic resistance. The inflammation that's supposed to flare and fade shows up late and overstays. Satellite cells, the repair crew your muscle keeps on call, don't answer as fast. Sit with that for a second, because it's worse than the story we tell ourselves. The comfortable version is, I hurt more, so I know to back off. The real version is, the repair is slower and the alarm is quieter. You're getting less warning about a problem that takes longer to fix. That's not a body that's yelling at you. That's a body that stopped yelling and started quietly falling behind. Now the muscle itself. The medical term is sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. Sarx and penia, Greek for poverty of flesh, which is about the bleakest possible way to name it, and honestly, fair. Here's what most people get wrong. It doesn't start at 40, it starts around 30. Most adults lose somewhere between 3 and 8% of their muscle mass per decade after 30, and it picks up speed after 60, which means if you're 45 right now, this has been running in the background for 15 years. You didn't notice because you were strong enough to absorb it, and because the work kept you honest. 40 isn't when it starts. 40 is when the math finally catches up to you. But here's the number that actually matters, and almost nobody says it out loud. You lose strength faster than you lose size. Studies that measured both in the same people found strength dropping 2 to 5 times faster than mass. At 75, Men lose muscle mass at under 1% a year, but strength at 3 to 4% a year. And it's the strength loss that tracks with disability and death, not the size loss. Think about what that means on a job site. You can look the same shirt, same arms, same guy in the mirror, and be measurably weaker. The mirror is lying to you, and the tape measure is lying to you. The only thing that isn't lying is the load, and you find out about it under the load, which is exactly the worst time and place to find out. So when a guy tells you he hasn't lost a step because he's the same size he was at 30, he's not lying. He just doesn't know what he's measuring. Some of this is hormonal, and I'll say it carefully because this is where the supplement grifters live. Testosterone declines with age. The commonly cited figure is about 1% a year after 30, though the honest answer is the research ranges from under 0.5% to 2%, and it's contested at the edges. It's a slope, not a cliff. It is not a diagnosis, and it is nowhere near a good enough reason to buy something off an Instagram ad from a man with a jaw filter. Then there's the connective stuff. Joints, tendons, cartilage. This is where the work writes its name. The cartilage padding your joints thins. The fluid that keeps things gliding dries down. Tendons lose their give, so muscles feel tight and sore for no reason you can point to. Arthritis, tendonitis, bursitis. The ODDS on all of it climb. And it doesn't land randomly. It lands exactly where the job hit hardest. Knees if you knelt. Tile guys, flooring guys, plumbers under sinks, shoulders if you reached overhead, electricians, drywall hangers, anybody who spent 20 years with their hands above their head, back if you lifted, wrists if you ran a gun or a grinder, hips if you drove. Your body kept a ledger. Every shortcut, every I got it, every time you skipped the lift assist because grabbing it took 90 seconds and you were already behind. It logged all of it. And it doesn't send the invoice at the time. It sends it in a lump 20 years later, itemized, and it does not take payment plans. Here's the number that surprises people, and it's the one that should change how you think about a Tuesday. Older workers don't get hurt more often. That's not a motivational reframe. That's what the data says. Injury rates are lower in older workers than younger ones. Young guys get hurt more. They're faster, dumber, and newer. What changes isn't the frequency, it's the cost. When an older body gets hurt, the injury runs more severe and the recovery runs longer. BLS data has shown median time away from work climbing steadily with age, around 4 days for workers under 25, up to about 10 days for workers 55 and older. And workers in the 55 to 64 range post some of the highest days away rates of any age group. Same odds. Bigger bill. That's the whole thing in one line. A tweak that cost you a weekend at 25 cost you a month at 50. The dice haven't changed. The stakes on every single roll went up, and nobody told you. And you're still playing like the payout table is the same as it was in 2005. Now let's talk about the thing that actually makes this urgent, because it isn't the aches. Nobody changes their life over an ache. Here it is. Your body is your earning window, and the math on that window is worse than you think. The average construction worker in this country is around 42 years old. In 1985, it was 36. The proportion of construction workers 55 and older went from about 12% to over 20%. The crew is grayer than it has ever been. Now line that up against retirement. Full Social Security doesn't hit until 67. So the average guy on that crew has roughly 25 more years of this in front of him before the government considers him done. 25 more years of that. And the cushion, in 2023, only about 26% of wage and salary construction workers were in any pension or retirement plan, roughly 1 in 4. For all workers, it's about a third. So the industry that grinds bodies the hardest has fewer people with a landing pad than the average. Here's where it closes the loop. Researchers looking at construction workers between 40 and 59 found musculoskeletal problems were a major driver of leaving the trade early, not choosing to leave, being removed. The body files the paperwork for you. So run the actual sequence, because this is the part I need you to hear. The body gives out at 55. Social Security says 67. 3 out of 4 guys have no pension. And the thing that pushed you out is the same thing that makes every other job on the list. The ones where you're on your feet, the ones you take just to bridge the gap, hard to do. That's not a health problem. That's a 12-year hole in your life with no money in it. This is why I get irritated when this topic gets filed under wellness. It is not wellness. Your back is not a lifestyle. Your knees are a revenue-generating asset, and they are the only one you own outright, uninsured, with no warranty and no replacement at the supply house. You baby the truck because the truck makes money. Same logic. Follow it. Quick one, but it matters. Half the guys around you are managing the same thing right now and saying nothing. The pills in the lunchbox. The brace that goes on in the truck before anybody's in the lot and comes off in the truck at the end of the day. The guy who's suddenly really interested in running the layout instead of the loads. Everybody's doing it. Nobody's saying it. Because on most crews, admitting your body's slowing down is admitting you're next on the list. And there's always a 24-year-old who'll do it faster for less. So we all perform. And the performance is what actually hurts you, not the pride itself, but what the pride costs. The pride is why you didn't get the shoulder looked at in 2019 when it was a 6-week problem. It's a surgery now. The silence has a price, and it compounds like everything else here. You don't have to make a speech about it. Just stop lying to yourself in the truck. Start there. Now, the part the doomed crowd always skips. The slowdown is real. It is not locked in. And I want to be specific, because take care of yourself is useless. Resistance training, actual lifting, not I'm active at work. The job is not training. The job is repetitive load with no progression and no recovery built in, which is closer to the problem than the solution. Progressive resistance training is what the research points to for sarcopenia. And here's the number that should get your attention. People get meaningful strength gains from progressive resistance programs into their 80s and 90s. 80s. If it works on an 85-year-old, your excuse at 44 is not physiological. 2 or 3 sessions a week, legs, hips, back, shoulders, the stuff the job already taxes. Train through a full range with control instead of hammered in one position. 45 minutes. You've spent more time than that arguing about a change order. Protein. And here's where I have to correct something, because this number gets repeated wrong constantly, including by people who should know better. You'll hear 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. That number is barely above the government's baseline for sedentary people. The RDA is 0.8 grams per kilo, and that figure is designed to keep an office worker from developing a deficiency. It was never built for a guy who moved 4 tons today and is trying to hold on to muscle at 45. The research on active adults fighting muscle loss lands around 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram. Some reviews go to 1.5. And it's not just the total. Spread it out. The research points to 25 to 30 grams of quality protein per meal, because your aging muscle needs a bigger push to respond at all. That's the anabolic resistance I mentioned, which means the standard trades diet, nothing, then a gas station sandwich, then a mountain of food at 7 p.m., is close to the worst possible structure. It's not the amount that's failing you, it's the timing. One caveat, and I mean it. If you've got kidney issues, this conversation is with your doctor, not with me. Sleep. It's when the repair actually happens. I'm not going to lecture a guy on shift work about sleep hygiene. If you're rotating nights, you already know it's a knife fight. But know what you're trading. Every hour you cut is repair you're not doing on a body that's already slower at it than it used to be. Ergonomics. And get past the eye roll. I know the word sounds like a poster in a break room nobody reads. Here's the reframe. It's not about safety compliance. It's about where you spend the ledger. You've got a finite number of overhead hours in those shoulders, a finite number of kneeling hours. When you use the lift assist, when you get the bench to the right height, when you rotate off the one motion that's eating you, you're not being soft. You're spending your career slower. And get things looked at while they're still small. The 6-week problem you ignore becomes the surgery, every time. One more, and it's the one that fits this channel. Everything above buys you time in the trade. But the smart guys I know do something else at the same time. They build the exit ramp before the body forces it. That's the ticket, the license, the inspector cert, the estimating class, the instructor gig at the local, foreman, super, quality assurance, safety, service manager. It's not selling out and it's not quitting. It's understanding that your knees have a shelf life and your license doesn't. 20 years of knowledge is an asset that doesn't care how your back feels on a Tuesday. Most guys wait until the body makes the call for them, which means they're negotiating from the worst possible position, hurt, scared, and out of options. Started at 42, not at 57 from the couch, 3 weeks post-operative. Your body at 45 isn't asking you to quit. It's telling you the terms changed and you've been operating on the old contract. The guys who last aren't the ones with the magic genetics. They're the ones who worked out somewhere around now that the body is the one tool you cannot replace. You keep the truck maintained. You keep the tools sharp. The body's been doing the heavy lifting this whole time on zero maintenance and no service interval, and it has never once complained loud enough to make you listen. Every crew's got 2 veterans. One's wrecked at 55, easing out of the truck like the ground might bite him, counting down 12 years to a Social Security check he can't reach. The other's still swinging at 60 and somehow fine, and he's fine because he made 100 small decisions you never saw, starting about 20 years ago. The difference usually wasn't luck. It wasn't genetics either. 40 isn't the end of anything. It's the warning light coming on while there's still plenty of road left. Ignore it and you coast until the engine seizes, and it always seizes somewhere expensive. Which one you turn out to be is still up to you for now.